I've got news for you.
Welcome to CitizenView,
where citizens come to talk.
Here we are the day after the election. Yesterday, Mr. Obama was my president. Today, it's still President Obama.
A historic election we are now looking at for the first time in American history, having back-to-back-to-back two-term presidents with Clinton, W. Bush, and now Obama. But we are still looking back at that election. How did this become possible?
We're going to look at lessons here today, Andy, and if you ask me, there are 3 lessons, and they all have to do with this: the head, my feet, and my heart. Let's look at the head and the lessons we learned up top.
Well, the lessons we learned is that math matters. When you look at the polls, when you look at how the Obama campaign did the math in terms of the voters that they needed to get to turn out in order to get those critical majorities in enough states to win a majority of the electoral votes, the Obama team was all about the math and crunching those numbers, and then came defeat.
It's not only math, though, Andy. It's about demographics. We learned some vocabulary. Demographics are those subcategories, how we break down and study people. We looked at Caucasian votes. We looked at African American votes. We looked at that Latino vote. We looked at single female votes. The demographics is where the numbers really played out, Andy, and Obama seemingly had the edge when it came down to math and demographics.
Well, we saw for the 3rd straight election, the youth vote actually increase as a percentage of the electorate. We saw Asian Americans increase, a small increase from 2% to 3% of the electorate, but the percent of the vote that Obama got from that Asian vote was nearly double digits increase. And of course, we saw the demographics changing with Latino Americans as they continue to become a larger part of the electorate, and Obama solidifying Latino support for Team Obama.
So one lesson we learned has to do with our head. A second lesson we're learning today has to do with our feet. And Andy, this election seemingly was all about the ground game.
Well, in 2008 was about the ground game too. Remember, initially, candidate Obama in 2008 was disparaged as having just been a community organizer in Chicago neighborhoods. Well, now after 2 national campaigns, I think we should respect community organizers a little bit, especially from Chicago, because Team Obama knew how to get those supporters, and there's a lot of supporters, actually out to the ballot box, not only on Election Day, but incredibly in that early vote that the Democrats seem to have mastered.
Well, that's where the feet really came to play, Andy, in this election cycle, that historically it's about getting people out to vote on Election Day. This election, more so than any other in our past, was about getting people to vote early, and the early vote went big for Obama.
And in some cases, standing on their feet for 4 hours as they waited on Election Day, or they waited in long lines to early vote. I mean, that's a commitment that supporters have, but it's that machine that can get those, it's that organization that gets those supporters out of their homes into the ballot boxes. And Obama is really, and his campaign team have mastered that aspect of getting voters out.
So we're learning lessons. We've looked at what we've learned in our head. We've learned at what we've learned by our feet. But Andy, maybe the decisive moment on Tuesday night is what we learned in our heart, and that is a compelling narrative that Barack Obama's narrative of the American dream still resonates, and people vote for hope.
And this really hasn't changed. When you look at presidential contests, we are looking to vote for somebody that we trust, somebody that connects with us. And particularly in the age of TV and internet and broadcast, it makes it even more meaningful. What is the image and persona of this candidate? Because we want to like who we're voting for.
You know, less about issues, less about platforms. It's more about that feeling of, exactly, I've connected to you, that I like your story better than the other guy's story. And the Obama story seemingly resonates with more Americans than the Romney story did. Andy, on Tuesday night, Halo 4 came out. Tuesday night, after the election votes were counted, we put a halo on our president, President 44, Barack Obama. You've been listening to CitizenView, and we're the 2 teachers.
No fancy words, no fancy suits.
Plain talk about issues you need to know.
Just in time.
I've got